Mr. Hurley, where are you? The video's about to start.
I'm over here.
Where are you going?
I'm driving to Utica.
Utica? That city is 200 miles away from Buffalo. Why are you going there?
I know it's far away, but I just couldn't wait. You asked me on our last adventure why the island of Mannahatta began to change from a dense forest into a dense city. Specifically, you asked me,
what caused Mannahatta to turn into Manhattan?
Well, today we are going to answer that question. And there is someone here in Utica who has the answer. They may arguably be the most important someone in the entire history of this land.
Oh my gosh, who is this person? Is it the president? A general? A wizard?
Sedita Dragon, this someone isn't a person at all. Let me introduce you to the most important animal in New York history, the mighty beaver.
So you're telling me the most important someone in the history of New York is actually a beaver?
Well, why not? I mean, look at these little rascals. Beavers are a remarkable animal. Beavers belong to a group of animals called rodents. Other kinds of rodents include squirrels and mice. All rodents have a specific adaptation that help them survive: their teeth. Look at our beaver's front teeth. Are they different from human teeth?
Yes, the front teeth are quite long.
Yes, they are. And do you notice the red color? That's because beaver teeth are infused with iron. It makes their teeth incredibly strong. Rodents use their front teeth to gnaw or constantly chew hard objects and break them down. Now, let's take a look at another adaptation. Do you notice the beaver's fur? A beaver has 2 layers of fur on its body. There is a thick layer of soft fur called the underfur next to the beaver's skin, which helps keep the beaver warm. On top of the underfur, there is a second layer of long, thick hairs called guard hairs. These guard hairs are actually waterproof. Beavers have an oil gland at the base of their tail that they use to coat their guard hairs with oil. This coating makes the guard hairs waterproof, which then keeps the underfur dry. Now that we've learned a little bit more about beavers and their fur, we're ready to answer your original question. You see, we probably wouldn't have the New York City that we have today without beavers and beaver fur. In short, the city that was built on Manhattan Island was originally built as a beaver fur trading colony. Let's take a trip back to Manhattan Island.
Mr. Hurley, are you back on Manhattan?
Yes, I am, but this time I am not on the northern tip of the island at Inwood Park. I'm at the very opposite end of the island, the southern tip, which is now today referred to as Lower Manhattan. It is here that the city of Manhattan first began, and it is where our story first begins as well. Hey, do you notice the name of this street?
Beaver Street.
Yes, and speaking of beavers, let's go back in time to around the year 1609. Back at this point in history, the island of Mannahatta was covered with dense forest and was lived on by the Lenape. And who else lived here? Beavers. On this island and across the lands now called New York State, there lived over 60 million beavers. The Lenape lived with beavers and other animals on Mannahatta for thousands of years. But on the morning of September 11th, 1609, that all began to change. That morning, the Lenape would walk to the shore of Mannahatta to find a strange ship on the horizon. The ship had an unfamiliar flag, crewed by strange men who spoke a foreign language. Whoever these men were, they were certainly not from this land. They came from somewhere far away. The name of the ship was called the Half Moon, and its captain was a man named Henry Hudson. Henry Hudson was an explorer who was born halfway around the world in the European country of England.
Henry Hudson was born in Europe? That means he sailed across the entire Atlantic Ocean in order to reach Mannahatta. That must have taken a long time.
It did. Hudson left Europe in April of 1609 and arrived at Mannahatta in September. The voyage across the ocean lasted about 6 months.
Wow. Why did Henry Hudson sail across the Atlantic Ocean? That must have been a dangerous trip.
That's true. He wouldn't have made the trip without a good reason. Henry Hudson was actually working for a company, or a business. The name of this company was called the Dutch East India Trading Company. The Dutch East India Trading Company was a business very much like the business of Amazon today. Have you ever gotten a package delivered to your door with Amazon shipping? Well, the Dutch East India Company was like the Amazon of its day, a company that made its money in trade, shipping goods from one part of the world to another. The most important thing to the East India Company was making a profit, or making money. That's why Henry Hudson was sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. He was on a mission for the East India Company, trying to find a profitable trade route from Europe to Asia.
I see. So Henry Hudson was not trying to find Mannahatta? He was trying to reach Asia?
That's right. Hudson was not trying to find Mannahatta, but once he arrived at the island, he immediately became very interested in its plants and animals, especially the beavers. Remember, Hudson was sent by a company who made a profit by trading. When Henry Hudson saw Mannahatta, he did not just see beavers. He saw an opportunity for profit.
How can you make a profit from beavers?
Well, do you remember learning about beaver fur? Beaver fur was actually a luxury item back in Europe. People would pay lots of money for clothes made from beaver fur, especially beaver fur hats. Trapping beavers and selling their fur was an easy way to make a profit back in 1609. Henry Hudson knew that the East India Trading Company would be very interested in a land filled with beavers.
Oh no, poor beavers. What happened next?
Well, Henry Hudson would soon travel back to Europe, and news of what he had found on Mannahatta would reach the Dutch East India Company and the country that they were based in, the Netherlands. The Netherlands immediately wanted to start sending more people back to Mannahatta, as well as the lands beyond, to set up trading posts. In 1615, another Dutch trading company, called the New Netherland Company, sailed back across the Atlantic and built a beaver fur trading post called Fort Orange. Fort Orange was not built on Mannahatta, but farther north in the lands that would eventually become our state capital of Albany. By 1621, a third Dutch trading company was formed, called the Dutch West India Trading Company. The Dutch West India Trading Company took things one step farther, actually claiming the lands from Fort Orange all the way down to Mannahatta as a colony for the Netherlands. A colony is an area of settlement ruled by a country far away. The name of this new beaver fur trading colony would be New Netherland, named after its mother country, the Netherlands. By 1626, the Dutch West India Company had begun building a small town on the southern tip of Mannahatta, cutting down trees and constructing houses, canals, and roads. The town being built here was named New Amsterdam. Even now, if you walk the streets of Lower Manhattan, you can see pieces of this original Dutch town. For example, that area you see here is called the Netherland Monument. It was on this exact spot where the Dutch West India Company built a fort. The name of this fort was Fort Amsterdam. Fort Amsterdam would become the central point of New Amsterdam and the New Netherland colony as a whole. By 1660, Lower Manhattan would look something like this. This is a map called the Castello Plan. It shows you the location of the original streets and buildings of the New Netherland colony on Manhattan. Many of these same streets still exist on the island today. In fact, the shape of the streets that I am walking down right now have not changed one bit from the year 1660. If we compare a map of Lower Manhattan today with this map from 1660, the streets are exactly the same.
Hold on, Mr. Hurley. I think you're forgetting someone. You're telling me these outsiders, the Dutch, created a whole colony on this land and began to build a city on Mannahatta. My question is, how did the Lenape feel about all of this? Didn't this land belong to them? How did they feel about the Dutch moving onto their land?
When the Dutch first arrived, the Lenape welcomed them onto the island. But as the Dutch colony of New Netherland began to grow, the Lenape began to worry. They saw that the Dutch did not care for the land of Mannahatta in the same way that they did. To the outsiders, the land, plants, and animals of Mannahatta were not things to be taken care of, but were resources that could be used to make a profit. As the Dutch cut down more and more trees, trapped more and more beavers, and grew their colony, the land of Mannahatta began to change shape. It wouldn't be long before the island that the Lenape had lived on and cared for thousands of years became unrecognizable. And when did these changes begin? September 11th, 1609, the day Henry Hudson saw some beavers.
Mr. Hurley, thank you for showing me this history. You were right. Beavers really are the most important someone in the history of this land. What I'd like to know is, who else came to New Amsterdam after the Dutch? Did other Europeans come? Did the New Netherland colony grow? What happened to Lenape?
Those are all amazing questions, Sedita Dragon. Questions that we will address in our next video. But for now, let's review. Beavers belong to a group of animals called rodents. They have specific adaptations that help them survive and thrive in forest environments, such as their long front teeth and their fur.
When the European explorer Henry Hudson first arrived on Mannahatta in 1609, he became very interested in the beavers on the island. He knew that the trading company he worked for, the Dutch East India Company, could make a lot of money trapping these beavers and selling their furs back in Europe.
From present-day Albany all the way down through Manhattan, the Dutch West India Company had begun to build a trading colony called New Netherland. On the southern tip of Manhattan, the Dutch West India Company also built a town called New Amsterdam. You can see many remnants of this original town on Lower Manhattan today. Thank you so much for watching, and please come back for our next adventure. The Sedita Dragon and I will be here waiting for you. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Let's go.